Each time a drop of doubt falls into the stagnant lake of memory, a ripple rips through the skin of time, chasing the fleeing waters of echoes. The contours of one's being are rubbed against the unfinished cry that has been drawn back into the back of one's throat. Enchantment is always the curve of a sign that mourns not a figure but a form, clothed in a garment of absence. It is a ritual in which existence peels off the contours of itself, and in that peeling off rings a shifting truth. Eventually, the echoes peel off the skin of language and become pure blank space, omnipresent. The echoes, which seem to gently harbor the memories of oblivion, are in dialogue with the hidden inner world that flows between the gaps of time. On this night, when fantasy and reality intersect, the shadows transform into dreamlike visions that speak to our psyche. The echoes transcend the framework of words, becoming a quiet rhapsody in which eternal harmony and rupture cohabit, reproduced on a strange stage of sound and shadow. The flow of time dissolves all concepts, and whispers of the past evoked by faint fragments of memory and ephemeral melodies that foreshadow the future mingle. And when we not only listen but become part of the melody, we enter a mystical moment when self and world dissolve, and the smile of transformation that lurks in the shadows of the ephemeral echoes tries to melt into the sound at the subtle moment when we reach the end of our contemplation. A whisper before words that springs from the depths of all phenomena. It is a primordial rhythm that shakes the strings of the soul, an unborn echo. Shadows are the richness hidden in the infinite gradation of shades. The sound that has passed through the prism of perception becomes a particle tinged with color and draws unexpected patterns. Echoes seek form and are fringed by merges, and contours give depth to whispers. It is a spiral staircase in the manner of Escher's deceptive painting. The echoes of eternal recurrence blur, and the shadows increase in intensity. Fascination is the magic that dwells in the midst of this elusive transformation. A score engraved in the void by invisible fingers, a story spun by unheard voices. The retina of our perception barely catches the fragments and puts on the costume of the primordial, but the essence is always gliding and sneering at the cage of definitions. Shadows are metaphors of abysses that cannot be measured by the daylight of the intellect. Echoes are the protoplasm of emotions that cannot be captured by the scale of logic. Transfiguration is the normal state of existence, the mystery of the flow that never ceases. Just as the shadows of Plato's ideas dance on the walls of a cave, so the echoes we perceive are echoes of the echoes of truth. It is this uncertainty that attracts us and keeps us on the journey of exploration. The echoes are not the end of the journey, but the beginning of a new one. When a voice is emitted, the magic that lies in the blind spots of knowledge draws us in, while the aesthetics of the margins captivate us with what we cannot see. Transfiguration is not a deception but a gesture of possibility, and resonance is not an exchange of sounds but a trace of the tremor that occurs when being and non-being come into contact. We pick up again the next sound from the silence. As if at the interface where oblivion and memory meet, the chains of fixed concepts gently dissolve. In a multi-layered landscape, keen observation captures the luminosity and distortion that lurks in the rough reality of everyday life, like a drop of night dew. The echoes of the moment are constantly shifting and ambiguous, yet the free and unrestrained images which cannot be captured by any theory or formula melt into each other as if they were lightly caressing any pre-existing framework. The silent strings that nestle faintly deep within as the reverberations of dreamlike visions trapped in reconstructed memories are instruments of omens that tremble without being touched. Particles of sound without any trace of form drift about, spinning silent whispers in accordance with the logic of invisibility. The disordered layers of time create a shadow play of shadows that transcend interpretation and ruminate on one's own reflection. And as an unfinished sentence before any meaning has been released, it forever wanders through its interpretation. A point where the coordinate axes of non-existence intersect an eidos before it solidifies there. Echoes are the waves of pure persistence that shake the threshold, the slight tremor of undifferentiated potentia. It is the antithesis of the self-denial of light, the heterotopia of existence. The retina of perception captures only a thin layer of the phenomenal world, always out of range of the underlying layer. The projection of an idea in flux projects a spectacle of the temporary onto the screen of space-time.